Hi everyone, this is Leslie with the Plaid Poodle, and today I'm going to make this kind of vintagey, I call it a fancy card. I just kind of happened upon an accident, and I really liked the gold leaf effect on the edge of this designer series paper. I was wanting to have a gold outline, and I just wondered if I could sponge on some Versamark ink and emboss it, and sure enough you can. So I did. I'm gonna make this card. I've already done it, but I was gonna show you how I did it on a little sample, just a tiny little sample of cardstock. I'm gonna take some Versamark ink, what you would normally use for embossing, heat embossing, and I'm just going to take a normal sponge, and this is clean, it just is stained, and just sponge it like you would sponging an ink, the edges. And then I sprinkled the gold embossing powder. This is a tiny little sample. I just wanted to give you an idea of how I did it. And I will put that away later. And then I took my heat gun and I don't know if the camera's picking it up. Oops, and my thumb is, because it's such a small piece of paper, and this heat gun is hot. But that, it does, it embossed it, and it kind of gave it kind of a gold leaf effect, so I really liked that. Anyway, so with my card, I took a card base of basic black. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4 and folded it in half. Then I also took a piece of cherry cobbler, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I sponged it with some cherry cobbler ink, and I already did that just to save time on the video. But to sponge, you would just dip a sponge into your ink and just sponge the edges. So I did that to give it a little age. And then I took the piece of designer series paper that I had gold leafed, and I'm using my ATG gun here because it was handy. And I will say it does curl up a bit because this designer series paper is very, it's just a very thin paper. So make sure you get plenty of adhesive on each of the corners. You tell I've been working today. I have ink all over my hands. I love it. Okay, and then I took some cherry cobbler seam binding ribbon, and I just attached it again with adhesive and wrapped it around the cherry cobbler card. Doesn't it look antique already? Just with those deep, rich, regal colors. I love it. And then with that, I just attached that layer to the card base. I think I like it And there's the base of the card. Then for the tag, I just took a piece of very vanilla cardstock and the bracket punch. In fact, I think I'll do my stamping first and then punch it. And I wanted just some black, my sentiment just to be black. So I'm just using some Memento ink. And the stamp is from the Wondrous Wreat Stamp Set. I liked this sentiment. Happy Wonderful Christmas. I'm just gonna stamp that on there. And then take my punch, and it is going to cut a little bit of that swirly curly Q on the W off, but I don't care because we're going to cover that up anyway with the leaves. Then I took a little bit of the cherry cobbler ink and I sponged, ooh, got a big dip there. I sponged the edges of the tag. Then I made the leaves with the Bird Builder punch, and I punched out 4 sets of leaves, and I've gone ahead and done 3 already. And I'm gonna just show you how simple Simon this is. There it is. There's my 4th leaf. And I also sponged them, staying with the vintage theme, I also sponged the leaves with, on another side of my sponge, the Always Artichoke. And this is Always Artichoke cardstock that I cut the leaves out of. I kind of stuck with the Regal collection, the Cherry Cobbler. They're just such rich, deep colors, and it doesn't take much to sponge those. And I kind of built my tag first, how I wanted the leaves to be. And to adhere them, I used just some two-way glue. Just dotted a little bit on the back of the leaves, and we're going to cut the majority of the stems off. But I'm going to decide where I want those leaves to fall. There we go. I'm going to have too much. See how I'm just building? And I'm going to cover it all up with a bow. So I don't have to be real careful at this point. This is a more involved card, a more, like I said at the beginning, a fancy card. And see how I'm just kind of building on the leaves? I'm using them. Eventually we're going to attach it to the card, and that'll work. But I'm just kind of making it look like a wreath or some holly holly bushes. Until I get it to how I like it. And then I'm going to attach that on there with the bow that I've made in also the Cherry Cobbler seam binding. I'm going to attach the bow with glue dots. I think I'll just stick a couple on the back of that bow. I think I picked one up on my thumb. And I'm going to stick it where I want it. Then I'm going to attach the tag or the greeting. Getting some goobies on there with the Stampin Dimensionals. If I can find them. They're probably what fell on the floor a minute ago. Here we go. Let me tell you. If you all could see my craft room right now. It is a disaster. But that's how I work. I just can't seem to do it any other way. Okay, now I'm going to just kind of tuck those in behind that ribbon. Cute. I'm going to trim up this tail, but not too much. I kind of like it long like that. Okay, then I took, these are the Rhinestones, and the Blendabilities pens color them perfectly. So I took a Cherry Cobbler Blendability, and I just colored 3 of them in, 3 of the smallest ones, and I kind of let them dry for a second. And then put another coat on. I just added it. I wanted them to be a deep red. These are connected, so I'm going to disconnect them. And then there we go. Kind of like little berries on a holly bush. That's going to cover up that little bit of stem that was showing. And add a little shine to the card and a little more dimension to the card. Anyway, I love it. I'm gonna clean it up. Do you guys have one of these? This thing is awesome. If you get any kind of adhesive on your card, see, it took it right off. I love it. Okay, so isn't that just a lovely card? Very vintagey, very old-fashioned. I just love it. I hope you do too. If you love it, like it on my page. For all the dimensions and the products I used, visit my blog, www.theplaidpoodle.com, where you'll find other paper crafting ideas and inspiration. And thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.